So I start by assembling this part of the tranny, this shaft. And if you took this completely apart and you just had the shaft, what I've got on here is this gear right here, goes in the middle, and then this gear actually has a washer that goes on this side, and then that's got this little clip that holds that on. And then before you slide this gear on here, there's actually a washer there. So there's a washer on the back side that goes on first, then this gear, then this washer that's got almost like a splined shape to it, and then the clip. And then once you've got that in, then what ends up going on next is this gear right here goes on from this side with these little dogs facing out this way. Then this small shim right here goes on next. Then this gear goes on next. This gear has this concave side to it, and then the flat side. The concave side is what's going to face this gear's dogs that engage it. It goes on like that. And then this larger flat spacer or bushing goes on right here. Now I'm going to do this back part. Next to go on, sliding from this direction, is this gear here. This one's got the 3 dogs on one side and 3 dogs on the other, but there's a spacing there, so basically the geared side goes on this way. So this is going to slide on that way. Next we install this little clip. That gets installed right in this groove right here. Next goes the second washer that has the little tabs in it to go on the spline shaft. And then after that, we put on this sleeve or bushing. It's got a hole in it, and it's very important that this hole line up so that we put this on with the hole in the shaft to ensure proper oiling. And this actually is omitted in other sizes for this transmission, so same transmission might be used, but this is in the XR100. Next, once you get this bushing on, is this large gear right here, and the concave side of the gear faces the dogs on this gear. So that's going to slide on right over that bushing. And then next would be this gear, but this gear is badly damaged, so I'm going to use the replacement one that I got out of the CRF, the 2007 model, which is in good shape. And this gear doesn't have any uniqueness to one side or the other, so it can go on either way. I just took these gears off to try and figure out what's going on, because when I put this old original gear that's chewed up on the shaft, it spins pretty easily. This one doesn't, it's too tight. And then when I looked at the inside here of this gear, I could see actually there's some metal that looks like it's got some damage to either the gear, or it's actually got some metal that deposited itself on the inside of the gear from this damaged shaft. So this really torn up area on this shaft on the 07 is where this gear was riding. So I've got to see whether or not I can clean up that inside there and hopefully make this gear work. Otherwise I'm back at a standstill until I can get another gear. When I viewed this on the magnification, I could actually clearly see that metal had deposited itself off of the damaged shaft and onto the inside here. So I very carefully ground off the metal that didn't belong using a drum sanding attachment tool in my Dremel or roto tool, and was able to clean that up nice so that now it goes on and it rides smoothly, and it's got a nice smooth surface there. After I ground the heavy stuff off with the drum sanding tool, I put a brass cup style wire wheel on there that fit in there perfectly, and that cleaned it up, and now it's really nice and polished. Okay, and the last part to go on this side is this washer or bushing, and that one goes right there. And now this part is complete, so I'm going to set this off to the side so I can work on the other shaft. Alright, here's the other shaft assembly. I didn't completely disassemble it, so this is where I had stopped. But if you had completely disassembled it, what you'd have to start with is this shaft has this gear on it that is actually part of the shaft. Then you would install, there's a washer or spacer or bushing, not bushing, sorry, a washer there, then, or shim. Then you would install this gear right here. Then you would install a clip right there, and then after the my mistake, after before that clip there is a one of those star-shaped washers on there, one of those washers that's got the slots in it to go on the teeth here. Then a clip, and then after the clip is installed, then you would slide this gear on. Okay. And then after you slide this gear on, you then would install another clip right here that goes in this groove. After you've installed the clip, then you put on this copper looking washer, which also has it's a keyed washer that goes in the slots there. That goes next. Next goes this gear, which this gear is flat on one side, and it's got the holes on the other side that these dogs actually engage. So obviously that's going to go on this way, facing that way, so that goes on like this. That's as far as it goes on. Of course, this would slide over and engage it. All right. And then after that, the next thing that slides on here is this small gear right here, which when I took this off, at first I didn't notice anything different about the gear, and then I noticed this paint, and for whatever reason this paint was on here facing the case or outboard. So I'm going to put this back on the same way that I took it off, like that. And then of course this pin right here goes in the bearing, which the bearing is still inside the crankcase. I didn't remove that bearing. And now I've got to work on this side of it. Alright, and then of course the only gear that goes on here is this gear right here. This is the one that really took the brunt of the damage on mine, and I'm going to replace it with the replacement one that came in from the 2007 CRF. So that goes just right on here, like that. And now that assembly is ready to go. So I'm going to set that aside and get the crankcase back up here.